Streamline your business with Javis Tax Services Payroll Services. We offer hassle-free payroll and direct deposit services for companies of all sizes. Our experts ensure that every detail is handled from setup to reporting. At Javis Tax Service, our cost-effective payroll solutions allow you to put your focus back on running your company. Call us today for a consultation and learn more about our payroll services. Call Javis Tax Service at 851-7112. That's 851-7112.
I'll go on through Chrome until it downloads.
All right, Facebook Live. What's going on? Tamika, what's going on, girl? Sierra, we see you. Sierra, I see you. Like, I literally, I see you seeing me right now.
Blessed in
I see you see me right now.
Shout out, Blessed in
What's that, Sierra? Hey, Sierra.
It is definitely what I do.
All right, make sure y'all go ahead and hit that share button. Make sure you hit them hearts for us. Let us know what you're thinking. Today we're talking about can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I feel like I can't hear myself. They were talking about is the gospel industry dead and can it be resurrected?
That's a hard question. That's a mean question at that.
Dead means it needs a defibrillator.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
I think it's dead. I think about
They thought Lazarus was dead.
Oh, Jesus coming out like that.
Touche.
My God. Yeah. The same power he had.
That's what they
We
thought.
have Regina.
But whole 4 days.
Are you
later.
saying dead as in flatline, or are you saying
Sleep.
as dying?
Yeah,
Sleep, that's
the daughter
It's
was
just
still
lying. They
asleep.
think that it's lying.
It's
It's
on
comatose.
It
Is
got
it
an IV in
comatose?
lying dormant. That's all.
It's sleep.
Not the side of the road. Yo, invite
Dead
your
as in
followers.
Ricky.
Invite your followers. It's gonna be a fun conversation. We got people in the house. We got celebrities in the house. Turn your radio down. Turn your radio down.
It snuck me.
We got Mr. Jamal Bates. We got Snoop. We got Regina Skeeters. We got Sunshyne P. We got the Humble over there. What's up, Humble? The Humble. He's the Humble. He's the first Humble I knew.
Wow. Doing a lot over there.
Sit down, be humble.
Is he always like this, David?
No.
Darren? What's going on? He had something to drink before he came here.
No, actually, this is toned down.
Yeah, this is
This is toned down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
He done had some fruit punch or something.
He's driving today
with all that sugar in it.
It's cause she do. Every time.
Me?
Every time Sunshyne come around.
Ain't no sunshine when I'm gone.
Yes. Yo, we about to get started Facebook. It's good to see y'all. Invite your friends, invite your family. Oh yeah, and we got Mr. John Lakin coming.
Oh, man, prayers to our co-host Ice, man. He's home recovering, man. Praying for you, bro.
Yeah. Dang, everybody got quiet when we
recovering from.
Sprint.
Really?
Yes, I am the lamb that he promised you see, who gave my life so that you can be free. Through all the blood that I shed on the tree, giving all
Who's singing this?
me.
That's me.
Hey, when it come to my life, I'ma tell it how.
Yeah, that's him rapping though. That dude right there can rap.
Who's that?
In the hand though. The other person you wouldn't play.
I'm listening. I just picked up.
Oh.
I just caught it.
Thought you was Jamal for a second.
What did I do to you, man?
I don't know, man. He's trying to smash on you like all night, yo.
You see this?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This your boy Jay Will, and you are now tuned in to another episode of Urban City Radio, where we bring you the sounds of boots on the ground.
What's going on, everybody? This your guy AC the Future, and we have a host of guests in here tonight. Go ahead and tell everybody your names.
What's good? It's your girl Sunshyne P.
Sunshyne.
Hi, it's Regina Skeeters.
What's up, family? I'm Jamal Bates.
What's up, family? Roosevelt McLemore, known as Snoop.
Snoop.
What's up? This is Kevin, also known as Humble Servant.
Yes. Hey.
Oh, okay. All right. So, first I want to apologize because Jay didn't shout out everybody's name while they were saying their name. So I apologize for his rudeness. But, this is the reason why we do this show. We are here today. We're talking about, is the gospel industry dead? Can it be resurrected? Jay, go ahead and tell them the real reason why we do the show.
So the reason we do this show, we believe there is a resurgence of believers being called back to the city. And we want to highlight the usage of urban ministry and of urban hip-hop in urban ministry and urban missions. And we want to bring you the sounds of boots on the ground. And we got another guest that just came in. Yo, tell them your name.
Hello?
This is Kenny Smith, man.
Just joined the line. What's going on, Kenny? So, the show's getting ready to be started. It's going to be hype today.
What up?
So, man, we'll be right back. Urban City Radio, boot up.
Boot up.
Is this you? Yeah.
This person sounds familiar. Sound like I know the person.
That got a little sun in it.
Sound like the person sitting next to me.
It was shiny. Little shiny something.
I remember when she first said that to me. I was like, we playing that. We playing that. I was sitting in the car like, oh. That's it?
Well, I'm glad you was in that car by yourself.
Oh. Really, AC?
Make sure you invite your followers out there in Facebook land. What's up, YouTube? Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Dave Pendergrass like, what were you doing in that car? So Jamal, what's been going on with you, man? I went straight for you. I see everybody else.
He's striking, boy.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm sorry. Regina, how was the Blend Out camp?
Oh, the Blend Out camp was amazing. We're alive and well. The kids are alive. I'm alive, partially. But hey, it was great. It was great. The kids enjoyed it. We had about 60 kids. And we're ready for hopefully maybe 2 weeks next year.
2 weeks? Hold on. So y'all did it like...
Only one.
Oh.
Touch your neighbor and say one. That's all we can take.
Oh.
Just one. But the parents are asking for more than one.
Wow. That's awesome.
Roosevelt, what's happening, homie? How the records coming?
Great.
One word. Great.
Solid answer.
This side good over here, boy. We sweet to the point over here.
Chilling.
Oh, my. Blueprint.
Oh, man. Yo, Kenny, how was tour, dog? I got to pause for that.
Tour is good, man. It's a lot, but it's been a great experience, man.
Where you at tonight?
I'm loving it. All right, man. Bible study tonight. I gotta work. Gotta make sure I take care of home, man.
Oh, okay. I feel you. I ain't mad at that. I thought you was out of town, boy. I was like,
good stuff.
I saw the flyer like Virginia.
I'm out this weekend.
Right.
I'll be in Florence on Friday, Charleston on Saturday, and Fayetteville on Monday.
Word.
Amazing.
Well, we're back. Urban City Radio, boot up. So before we get started in the conversation, because we're not sure just how much time we're going to have left after we delve into this topic, we're going to go ahead and give everybody a time to tell you who they are and what it is that they do, starting right here with Miss Sunshyne.
All right, well, my name is Sunshyne P., also known as Sunshyne Pollard. I'm a recording artist. I'm an author. I also have a nonprofit. I'm cardiovascular. I do a lot of different things, and I'm honored to be here.
Cool.
Word.
My name is Regina Skeeters. I'm a gospel recording artist, a worship leader, the founder of the Blend Out movement, motivational speaker, and it's just, I'm glad to be hanging out with you all. Thanks for the invite.
I'm Jamal Bates, a radio and TV personality, a brand ambassador. You know what that is, Jay Will?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Huh?
Yes.
Come on, Jamal. Stop talking about it. That's how you strike.
It's in there, man.
Oh, my.
I'm trying to
Oh, my.
But no, radio and TV and brand ambassador, and I love the Lord. Only when I'm around Jay Will.
Have to keep him in check.
Jay Will's my boy.
It's going to be a fun night.
Cool. I'm Roosevelt McLemore, producer, songwriter, engineer, musician, owner of Blueprint Recording Studios and also Remora Music Group.
Word. Yeah. So my name is Kevin Frederick, also known as Humble Servant. Pretty much right now, just over praise and worship and music ministries at Midtown 2 Notch, and over this thing we do called small groups, where different people in the community get to impact individual neighborhoods with different schemes and strategies and Bible studies and just ways to love people well and introduce them to Christ in a kind of an everyday setting. So,
Kenny.
What's up? My name is Kenny Smith. I'm a gospel recording artist and a songwriter, and I'm just glad to be here, man.
All right. So we just went down the line of all of our guests on tonight. Hopefully y'all will retain the information. Make sure you hit up each and every one of them and find them on their social media sites and everywhere that they can be found. Now, let's go ahead and get into the topic that we're talking about on today. Jay, you're driving the show, so go ahead and throw it out there.
All right. So for the past 3 weeks in the music industry, we've had some fun. About 3 weeks ago now, Jay-Z dropped his album 444, and Marvin Sapp had some comments about it, about why does it seem like the kingdom don't support. Then we also had Lecrae win the BET Gospel Award, and basically said, you know, the other artists that was nominated are real gospel artists, but I appreciate y'all for this. And last but not least, it just got announced that the BET Celebration for Gospel was canceled, I believe, for this year. My question is, what's going on in the gospel industry, people? What's up? Y'all know more than I do. Can y'all fill me in?
Aren't you a part of the gospel industry? Aren't you a gospel?
Well, it depends on your definition of gospel industry, because, you know, where I'm from, most people say we're Christian. We're the Christian industry, not the gospel industry.
It's not the same?
According to the Stellars and the Dove Award, no.
It's not pointing back to the same person?
Should be.
Okay, so you tell us what's going on.
I don't know. You tell me, Jamal. You the inside person of the industry.
I'm not.
Look at me. I don't have no clue.
I want to ask the question.
Zero.
To start the conversation, do you feel like the gospel industry is dying or is dead? How do you feel about that?
Answer that with salt.
Talking to me?
Yeah, anybody.
Anybody who want to jump in right now.
I think that people's mindsets need to change. I don't think that the gospel industry is dead, because people still believe in the good news of Jesus Christ. That's what the gospel is, you know, spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. I just think that people's mindsets need to change. I think that we're chasing other things. I think we're distracted.
Yeah.
And we just need to get back to Jesus. Forget the smoke screen. Forget the beats are amazing and all that good stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, people want Jesus. You know, what's behind the message.
So you believe that what you're seeing now in the market is more of entertainment than genuine experience?
I think sometimes we have itching ears. Genuine. I think sometimes people, even as it relates to worship leaders or just people, sometimes people forget about Jesus Christ, and not everybody, but some people just want to use that as a platform. Hey, I can't get acknowledged in the R&B field, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my rocks off on Sunday morning. But it just depends on who it is.
Yeah. That's a tough shot right there, because there's a lot of people
that's not everybody, though.
Yeah, that's not everybody, but there are some people who have made their, I guess, debuts through the church, but eventually found their way into stardom and started leaving the church. I won't throw any names out there, but Jay did earlier when he was referencing a certain person that received a certain award. There was a stance that I'm saying, you know how I feel about that, but what I'm saying is basically, like, we've seen through times that there are certain people who had a gifting. That gifting was dedicated to the church till they got to a certain point. And so a lot of times what you hear about people, especially people who do that certain type of music, they talk about a ceiling, a level of capacity that they reach. Do you feel like that's something that exists, especially when you talk about the gospel industry? Does that limit where a person can go as an artist?
Come on, Jamal.
I think an artist should answer that.
No, go ahead.
Oh.
Or a producer. I mean, we can look at people like Kirk and, you know, the Ties who have been innovative in gospel. Kirk was innovative. Ty, you may not agree with his latest innovation, but he's being innovative.
That's right. They've been in the game for a minute.
Yeah.
A lot of times people, they think if they don't make it in 5 years or in 3 years, hey, I'm just going to quit. This is my ceiling. Sometimes you determine most of the time you determine what your ceiling is. And also another artist who I love, who I admire, because she has learned to adjust or change with the time. Shirley Caesar. She has learned to adopt with the different styles of gospel. You know, you know what I'm saying? When Tone was hot, you know, she was on the track with him. She's gotten on the track with Kirk before. She's gotten on the track with Anthony Hamilton. He's on the gospel evolving. But yeah, that's the word I was looking for. She has learned how to evolve, reinvent herself, and I think that's what a lot of artists have to learn how to do. And not only gospel artists, but those who work in entertainment, you have to learn how to to evolve.
Hey, you stupid.
Kenny, what you think, man? Do you think there's a ceiling in the gospel market?
I think that we have to stop comparing the two.
Yeah.
There's a difference between secular music and Christian music.
Good point, Ken.
There's a difference fundamentally in the two genres. And Christian music, gospel music, is often looked at as ministry. You know, it's often looked at as something that should come for free because you're talking about the Word of God, essentially. And a lot of times when you're talking about the Word of God, people don't feel like it should cost because the Bible is free. Mm-hmm. You know, so when you then tell people that they have to pay for gospel music, you got to pay for the good news of God. People are because of tradition. People are automatically going to want to burn it. They're going to want to stream it, mm-hmm. and all those things. I just released a record last Friday, and I have some of the numbers from sales. You know, and while we've done well, our numbers don't match the numbers that you would see on a Beyonce record or any other secular artist. I think what the first thing we have to do is we have to stop putting ourselves in a position to where we're trying to live up to a secular standard because we're not. Yeah. You know what I mean? If we keep comparing the numbers, we will always feel like it's a glass ceiling. Honestly, I feel like this. There are Christian artists and gospel artists that are just as popular as secular artists. They are just as infused in popular culture as secular artists. The difference is the scrutiny is different. What Marvin Sapp said on his video is Jay-Z can cheat on his wife, and we still buy his record. Mm-hmm. Ty Tribbett or somebody or anybody else that may have some other type of situation, we don't look at them the same. And a lot of times we hear people tell Christian people, oh, they're hypocrites, they doing this. Yeah, but we hold the world to a less standard. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it turns out to hurt us. Yeah. And what we also have to understand in the body of Christ is that we are one. Yeah. And so when we cut one person down, we're really cutting ourselves. You know, so if there is a ceiling that's been established, it's a ceiling that we've created. We don't support each other when it comes to buying gospel music. We won't buy it. You know, we will burn it. We will go to Apple Music and we will stream it. And a lot of people had questions for me this week. Hey man, you know, I couldn't find your record on iTunes. I said, no, you can find it on iTunes. You just can't find it on Apple Music. Yeah. Because I didn't put it there because a lot of people take that opportunity to stream. And you know, there are different arguments for streaming, and you know, people say, well, it'll open you up to other audiences, and I agree with that, and that's why it's on other places that you can stream. But anyway, to answer your question, there is no glass ceiling. Mm-hmm. We have to innovate. We have to find different ways of communicating the message of God and understanding our role in the world. It's so much bigger than music. It's Kenny, what's happening between.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to ask a question because you said you were talking about how we don't buy, we stream or we burn. I want to ask the question. Right. So why is it that? And I know you're talking about not to compare the markets, but I'm one that I've seen where the church's buying power has had the ability to make the difference in a lot of things. But we're talking about a market where the church should be investing in, but they seem to not be. Why do we think that is? What is really causing us, the church, to not invest back in the church when it comes to our music? We had the topic discussion on Freethinkers Radio, and a lot of the I guess examples people kept throwing out was simply the production. The production didn't live up to what they would spend on secular music. But my question is that really the only difference that keeps us from investing in music that would fund the kingdom, fund mission trips, fund all the things that we say that we live to do? Like, what is really, and I'm asking anybody that's here tonight, what is really keeping us from investing in the gospel market?
I think personally it's branding. When I was starting out in music, I was told that it was 95% about business and 5% about your talent. And the world got it down. The secular world has that branding and business portion of it down. It is business. It is overall a business. Even though you're selling a message and the messages of Christ, bottom line is it still needs to be run as a business. And if you don't have business-minded people branding and pushing it the way that the secular-minded business people do, then no, it's not going to push. You have to still draw those people. They still have to have something to compel them to buy it and invest in it. Not just because you just say Jesus, people are just going to run to it. You have to be drawn to it. And bottom line is, people are human. Sensationalism is real.
It is.
It is.
You have to appeal to them. You have to appeal to all demographics. You don't want that ceiling, then you got to invest. You got to, draw them to you. What's going to make you marketable? Why would I want to spend my money on you? Who are you?
Right.
And something happened between now and years ago, because I'm not sure if you guys remember, but years ago, Smokey's album, I think his album went gold or platinum. Nothing Without You, the album went gold or platinum. Donnie's album, his Live in London, that went gold or platinum. So something happened between then and now.
Even Yolanda Adams.
Yolanda, you know what I'm saying? But again, there are some gospel artists who do well. But I think just going back to what Kenny have said, what Regina said, and also what Marvin Sapp has said, it's about us looking down on others in the church. You know what I'm saying?
So
because we know, AC may have done this, or Jay Will may have done that, which he probably did. I'm joking. We're not going to purchase Jay Will's single because we know what he did. You know what I'm saying? And then with us knowing what Jay-Z, what he did, him and Beyonce, we still support them. So something happened. I don't know what that something is, but something happened.
Well, there's transparency.
Right.
Yeah.
If somebody tells what they did, how can you hold it against them?
Exactly.
They told it already.
Exactly.
Whereas, people in the church try to save face because you have this image. Not everybody, but, overall, people try to save face. So you want to look like you're above reproach. No, you just as dirty and sinful as everybody else. The same way Todd Tribbett stood up on that stage and told what he did and then rocked that stage. People bought albums like crazy because it was like, this dude is real. He did what he did. He owned it. Now, I don't know what his life looks like behind that, but what I'm saying is he put himself out there.
Right.
They were vulnerable, and now look what happened.
It's crazy that but those in the church who have the spotlight and who are in radio and do music and everything, you still have to be careful with what you put out there about yourself. Like you may have,
you don't put it all out there.
Right, you don't put it all out there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So you have to be mindful of what you put out there. Some people have because
the
church,
that you do.
and the audience is they're not as forgiving, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? Some people have done something.
Then you targeting the wrong audience.
Well, listen. Some people have done some things recently, and they've, from the looks of it, have turned what they did around for their good, and made it marketable. I won't call any names, but they did some things. Some things happened. Some things came out about them, and they turned that thing around. They did a whole PR campaign about it.
Good marketing plan.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But that's kind of going back to what she's saying. Marketing is everything.
It's everything. See, if you want people to spend money,
I guess that's the problem that we have.
Everybody
when we
can't
talk
do that,
though.
Everybody can't do that.
Then you in the wrong demographic.
Yeah,
I was gonna
everybody
say
can't do that.
that's the problem we have when we talking about being true gospel artists. Go ahead, Kenny.
I also think that we have to look at the bigger business picture. A lot of things in the industry holistically have changed, not just secular, not just Christian. Back when Smokey Norfolk, all those guys were releasing these records, streaming sites weren't a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spotify didn't exist.
Freethinkers radio didn't.
So a lot of it. Well, and radio. But even things with radio was different because radio was the place where people actually got to hear the music. At this point, what we're on right now
to purchase CDs.
We're on it, we're on the internet station right now. So the medium for where you can get music and hear music has completely shifted. Yeah. So we also have to include that. A lot of times we try to criminalize Christian artists because they're human, and we villainize them, and we make their lifestyle so much a part of their music. But we don't do the same thing for other artists, and so when we look at record sales, we try to correlate record sales with lifestyle, but that's not exactly where it is. The bigger issue is all music is suffering. If you look at all of the major labels. If you look at all of the major labels, they have different names now than they did 10 years ago, because a lot of things are shifting in the industry.
And Kenny, that's why a lot of you guys are also getting your own labels as well. Artists are now leaving the big labels and starting your own thing because you realize, yo, I ain't making no money with such and such. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. 10 years ago, there was no TuneCore. There was no CD Baby. Exactly. So there wasn't a way for me to distribute my music personally. So I had to get with the big label, and the big labels chose artists that they could put the money behind. At this point in the industry, any artist that wants to for $49.99 can distribute internationally.
Fair game.
So that's a big difference. That's a big difference, and it levels the playing field. So now you have such an overwhelming amount of independent artists. I can name 13 records that have come out in the gospel industry in the last year. But I mean, so that's a lot of music. So you also have to understand that when you put more music into the market, individual sales are going to also go down.
Well, hold on. I do have the question because I think as we talk about the gospel industry, we got to look over at the Christian industry, right? And the dynamics look completely different. Right. Hillsong drops an album. Right. Hillsong goes 50 to 100,000.
And who's the audience?
Well,
I'm not being funny. I'm being
but
like
okay, you know what? And while you're playing, Marvin Sapp fussing about the fact that the church don't support his music. Well, who in the what church are you making the music for?
Exactly.
You got to think, what is your target right now? Right. And if your target is a place that already shows that they don't put much money into the music,
change your demographic.
Change your demographic.
Because you're supposed to draw all men anyway. Why you keep trying to go to the same people that already get that message somewhere else? Change your demographic.
And then also, I mean, cut you off, but also, you know, people like my parents and people their age, you know, they may not be up on going online to iTunes and getting music. You know what I'm saying? Now that gospel is no longer in a lot of stores, you know, they're not familiar with going on iTunes or going on CD Baby or whatever to download music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then you got to also think.
Let me say this. Can I say this about changing the demographic? Because I keep hearing that. Changing the demographic is not something that's as easy as it is spoken. When you're an artist like Marvin Sapp, your demographic is based on who's actually buying your music, who's actually listening to what you create. If Marvin Sapp is not an urban artist and he's not going to do hip hop, then him changing his demographic to be a hip hop artist, that wouldn't work either. So I don't think it's necessarily in gospel. You changing your demographic is not as easy as it may be if you're Snoop Dogg and you all of a sudden want to do a gospel record. He's Snoop Dogg, so he can do whatever he wants.
Ching ching.
You know what I'm saying?
Why can't you evolve though? Why can't they evolve?
I'm a praise and worship leader. So I can't. If my praise and worship album doesn't sell, that doesn't mean that I can go and start doing hip hop and change my demographic. You get what I'm saying?
Why can't you collaborate?
That's not. Because that's not who I am.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not a hip hop artist. You know, I don't listen to hip hop. So even though that's what's selling, that doesn't mean that I can conform to that. You know, so I don't know that it's really changing your demographic, whether it's finding different ways to create a fan. You know what I mean? And I think in gospel music, we don't understand that there has to be fans created, because a fan will purchase your music no matter what. That's why Frankie Beverly and Maze are still selling records. You know, because they have fans. Right, they have fans. Yeah. And in the gospel industry, we have to work on creating a system that develops fans.
But what I'm talking, when I say change your demographic, when I say change your demographic, I mean your branding.
You mean evolve?
Your marketing. Yeah, evolve. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change exactly what you do, but it's who you target. Like, how can you make yourself appealing to other people without changing yourself per se? How do you appeal to another demographic without changing yourself?
My thing is this. I've seen it done 10,000 times. I mean, we've all seen it to where the Crave features on a Kurt Franklin record, or, you know, he's on a Mary Mary record. I mean, you guys sing, you know, so I kind of see it as, if I want to find new people to buy my project, I have to do different things. Going back to what you said, not necessarily changing what it is that I do, but figuring out how to do what it is that I do inside of what somebody else does. And I think that's the art of collaboration. And I think that's the way that you can actually grow your base and get the audience too.
Exactly.
And not just that, but
so maybe it's not changing your demographic. It's just evolving with the times.
Yeah,
I guess.
Right. And appealing to others. You want to appeal to others too.
Yeah. Because I mean, you got to look at it. Like let's take the Chance the Rapper. I mean, it's funny to me. We've been singing "How Great Is Our God" for years. You know what I mean? But I did a venue the other day, and it was funny. Like, it was a secular venue, and like they start playing Chance the Rapper, and at the end of it, I'm talking about, it's like 10,000 people in this venue. They're singing "How Great Is Our God." You know, these bammers in there with their phones up. So dude next to me got a cigarette in his hand. But it's just the principle that just because he added that to the end of his song and it was something completely different outside of his box, it just like introduced God to so many people. So I kind of see it as, you know, like, I like hip hop. Like I listen to it more now than probably what I've ever had. But I think it's so easy for us as artists to box ourselves into doing one thing to where we miss the generation. You know, we miss the millennial. You know, we miss, because we've been doing this one thing straightforward for so long to where we don't evolve, we don't grow, we get stuck. And then we're trying to figure out why people aren't buying our records. Well, somebody made the point earlier, I think it was you, your mom don't buy CDs.
Right. She calling me.
And if you can't put it in Walmart, which nobody can anymore unless you're a major, who's gonna buy your music?
Right.
The generation, the millennials. You know, those are the people.
Now, and just to speak on Chance the Rapper didn't sell his records.
He streamed them.
He streamed them.
Yeah.
But he had endorsements. I think that's one thing I have noticed with the gospel industry that I'm trying to still figure out. And y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but finding sponsorships and endorsements, I haven't seen many gospel artists actually reach up to major endorsements like Adidas.
I think that's harder to do, though, because like, people still, I mean, I hate to say this, they still don't respect gospel the way that it should.
Yeah.
I think Lecrae has a better chance of getting an endorsement, you know, with somebody, because now, I mean, it's crazy to me. Now Lecrae has a song that's beating on 103, Hot 103.9 and, you know, 100.1. Dude, he has a song with somebody, I can't remember who it is. Ty Dolla. You know what I mean? So it's like people are starting to really, you know, understand who he is. You know, Kirk probably has a better chance at getting that because we've been listening to Kirk for forever across all stations. You know, I want to say he's probably the #1 selling gospel artist, right?
Yep.
But can sponsorships even like take that risk of going on with somebody from the church though, with all the like, I don't know, backlash that the church is viewed as today? Because right now I feel like even in public, and right now, if there's any time for you to be who you are, is right now, as far as the world's concerned, all that kind of stuff. You can wear your hair where you want to, date whoever you want to, all that kind of stuff. But the church got certain standards and stuff, and so if Adidas or Nike stands up there with Kirk, people got problems or whatever, or you know what I'm saying, Adidas or whatever. So like, can they even? Go ahead, Ken.
You also got to think about in the state that we're in right now. Church versus state is a big issue right now, and no one wants to be politically incorrect. You know, this is probably one of the times and first times in history where we have so many different religions that are vying for that #1 spot. So a lot of companies are choosing to stay out of religion. You know, so that affects the gospel artists. We can't necessarily ask Adidas to back a Christian artist because there are Muslim people
that works with that company.
You know, there are different religions, so that's another obstacle that we have to face as gospel artists and Christian artists, because a lot of people are trying to stay out of religion because it's so sensitive and touchy. So I think again we have to, you know, really consider there are certain limitations in gospel music. There are certain things that are constructed, certain systems that prevent us from actually being able to compete on the same level.
Right.
And so as a result of that, we have to understand that our expectation of ourselves cannot be so elevated. We can't expect to be Jay-Z. You know what I mean? We have to do what we do best and reach who we're supposed to reach. And at the end of the day, you can't marginalize who you are simply because you're not selling the type of records that Jay-Z is selling. You know what I mean? I don't. If I sell 1 million records, to God be the glory. You know what I mean? I'm not going in. I'm going into it knowing that I'm selling a different product, and that my product is not as popular. And as a result, my expectation is going to match the level of my popularity. You get what I'm saying? So I don't want gospel artists, new independent artists, to go into it feeling defeated. You know, I don't want them to go into it feeling like, man, I'll never be like this. No, because you have options, you have ways of finding new listeners and all that kind of stuff, but don't go into it feeling like you got to be Jay-Z. You know, you can't, everybody's not Lecrae. You know, everybody's not these different people, and I feel like you have to, you know, see yourself in your lane. Be who you are. You know, you won't fit every demographic. Marvin Sapp is never going to have a mass group of millennials buying his music. That's not who he is. You know what I mean? And I think he understands that. I feel like his frustration is more so that the people that do listen to his music are not purchasing it.
But I think that's the problem.
The people that can.
But the thing is, I mean, do you have 1 million people listening to Marvin Sapp like that? Go ahead, Jamal. What you got?
Really quick, like going back to what I think Snoop or somebody said earlier about the whole gospel music overall, and something that, you know, we had to think about. I forgot my exact thought, but the fact that you all have a radio network called Freethinkers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
That your show is called Urban City Radio.
Absolutely.
The fact that it's not called Urban Gospel City Radio.
Right.
The fact that it's not called Freethinkers Gospel Radio.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You all knew that if you put gospel or whatever anywhere in that title,
it was gonna box it.
Some people would look at you funny.
Yeah.
So you guys were smart.
We did business.
Exactly.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? So, and like that's unfortunately that's the direction direction that the gospel industry is moved into. Unfortunately, you know, Regina may not, you know, I don't know if she does it now, you know, she may not call herself.
It's Skeeters Enterprises. Blend out. We want to get everybody's money.
You know what I'm saying?
We're Christian based, so we want everybody's money.
Yeah, but no, that's the thing. I would say what Regina's doing.
But it's not
first.
gospel.
She started she got a nonprofit and she got a business. I said it a show ago. Last time I was like, you got to know whether you're going into business or going into nonprofit. And I think when a lot of people say, I'm coming in here to do ministry, I want you to understand, a lot of times ministry is nonprofit. That is an open public ministry, which is nonprofit work up front and private business behind closed doors. That's what ministry
True story.
is.
Yeah, so, you know, the whole gospel label, that's dwindling down because people are, artists and other industry people are now understanding that with that label is only so far they can get and so much they can do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's interesting. I'm always going to bring up the fact of because we keep talking about gospel music is dying. Well, Ty Tribbett, for instance, Ty Tribbett kind of don't look good. He don't sound gospel no more, quote unquote traditional gospel. But he's also doing shows at like Orange Conference, which is the big one of the.
What is gospel though? You know what I'm saying?
What it should be?
Yeah, I mean, what is? Thank you, Regina. You know, what is gospel?
News.
It should be the good news about Jesus, but in my personal opinion, I don't think for the past 10, 15 years it's actually been centered around the good news of the gospel.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But it's been more centered around
us.
You know, us.
Yeah.
Getting our blessings.
So now I say we're looking at the results.
That's a culture.
What it is.
That's the culture of the African American community.
You just hit it on the head.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because you know we come from
Yeah.
a different place than other people come from,
Right.
and we have to. It's funny because I was hanging out with a friend of mine at a skate rink recently, and he's the pastor of a Caucasian, a 90% Caucasian church. He's the youth pastor of a 90% Caucasian church, and he was saying how it's a little difficult for him to teach to the teens that he teaches to because they don't really need God because their parents have means that you know the African American children may not have. So the African American community need God. That's why we're begging type stuff on songs, and we believe in God. You know what I'm saying? But the other people they don't really need God.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't need God in the same sense.
Exactly.
That we need God.
Exactly.
You know
like he said, it's kind of difficult for him to really teach to them because they don't.
Right.
They're coming from two different.
So do you think that's the real issue with why gospel music doesn't sell? Because the gospel music is dedicated to a people who don't have the finances to buy it.
No.
No.
Because they can get hair and nails.
They can get what?
That's right.
I mean, they make a choice.
Yeah.
It's not being funny. It's the truth.
Yeah.
They make
And then
a
when you
choice.
think about the culture that we live in, when I don't have to buy music no more because I can stream everything that I have. So now the culture makes it easily accessible. So it doesn't mean I don't have your music. I just don't have to purchase it. So I'm listening to what you put out and it's blessing me, but I don't have to buy it because I got a $10 subscription with Apple Music, so I can stream it anytime it comes out. You see what I'm saying? So now it's more accessible to me.
Good point.
I just think Regina and Kenny and Sunshyne and Snoop, and Jay and AC, y'all are in a very difficult situation.
I think
music, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Snoop.
Yeah.
He's not.
I would say for me,
different.
I don't think I'm in a difficult situation.
I mean, artist. I'm sorry.
Because I came in this thing knowing that this is going to be non-profit work to push the mission.
Right.
I didn't come in it with the business. I mean, I came in it to say I'm going to do business on the back end, but the front end was all about ministry.
No.
And I had
as an artist is what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, as an artist, I'm saying
It depends on what your agenda is.
my agenda was that.
What's the agenda?
It depends on your agenda.
And we just
I think it's difficult regardless of where you come from. I mean, either you're going to get into ministry at one point or business. Like they're all going to cross paths at some point as an artist. Even if I'm just functioning as a songwriter, when it's time to get in the studio, do what I gotta do. I gotta pay studio time. I gotta pay producers. I gotta pay background singers. I have to pay a band. I gotta pay somebody to mix. Then when it's all over, I got marketing. I have all these radio promotions that's $1,500, $2,500 a month and up. So at that point, you have to kind of go in knowing, as an artist, going back to Kenny said, that, it's either, hey, I'm doing this because this is what I want to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. You gotta count it up. Because you're gonna cross that business road.
I was about to say, I think that's a big issue. What's going on, John Lakin? John Lakin, walk in the building.
Right now.
Listen, I was listening while I was coming down the road, and I had a couple thoughts I wanted to share.
Say them, John.
One, I think that it's important that we as artists, if we're going to merge into a place where we want the world to accept us, we have to create music that's comparable to what the world is doing.
Exactly.
In quality, and like you were talking about, we got to stop having shortcuts. As it relates to, we got to give the music what it requires in order for it to be relevant in a day like today. The other thing I think is that I think the church, the box that the church has, sometimes is because we give people who are artists, we give them ministry credit when they're singing gospel music as an art form.
Say that.
And so we make them a preacher, a pastor, a prophet. We make them all of the fivefold ministry, and they want to sing a gospel song because their grandmother sung a song,
Well, that's annoying over there.
I think that we, I will say, I think the gospel community, we are also the most forgiving community of any community, because
sometimes we just don't forgive ourselves.
We don't forgive each other, but we forgive anybody outside of us. They can do anything they want, and if they just mention God in an award show, then we love them. Like they one of us, Realistically, I think the gospel community is excited about this Snoop Dogg record. We're seeing clips of it, and I like Snoop. I like Snoop secular stuff, but at the end of the day, we are excited about him doing a rap record about Jesus and having gospel singers on it, because I think we have lost the foundation of our identity. And even back to what you were talking about, I think my boy Jay Will was saying that we talk about coming out and all of that. You got to realize that the bulk or the foundation of gospel music was centralized around the civil rights movement. And even how gospel songs were originated from slavery. So we've always been coming out. That's why we sing about coming out. And I don't think there's anything wrong with singing to encourage yourself out of your situation or your reality. I just think that we become more educated in worship now to know to send our music in the direction of God. But I think that sometimes we lose the power of who we are because we're so busy trying to be everything except for who we are. We're trying to be secular. We're trying to be accepted by them. We're trying to be accepted by CCM. We're trying to be accepted. And so then you end up with a pseudo style of music that is not authentic, because you can't name 5 artists. You can't name 5 rappers and you want to be a hip-hop artist. You know what I'm saying? And even with, and you know, my honesty gets me in trouble sometimes.
Say it.
But even with the situation with Lecrae and the BET Awards and all of that, you know, I think if he wasn't invited in the gospel category, I'm not sure he would have been invited to the show. So you take your win and be great, you know. But at the end of the day, as it relates to gospel music, Snoop said it. We do this because we're called to it. I think Regina. I mean, we're friends. We've been friends a long time. So me and Snoop, when I was in college, we used to sit up and talk. We was broke. We had no money. We used to talk about buying $100,000 rig so we could record a record when we was in college. Not because we was trying to be rich off of it, but because music was in our heart and our bones. We lived it. We loved it. And you look at the people like Chance the Rapper, realistically, what we're not focusing on is he grew up in Chicago culture, music culture. And what he's doing is no more than him expressing what was in his heart, what he would do whether he was being paid for it or not. The good thing about industry is if your business is right, then you can eat because of what you set up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, John, I wanna jump on something that you threw out there, and you kind of left it there and threw it out. But I want to you mentioned Lecrae, right? You mentioned him. If he had not been in the gospel market, he wouldn't even have been invited to the show. Now, how does that? Now, that's my question. So here it is. First of all, the gospel rap is not even accepted by the church. A lot of churches don't accept gospel rap. And so, all right, so because you know when he got his major push, it didn't come from the traditional black church. It came from the other churches that he was associated with.
Well, I would say something. Me and David years ago, Dave, Trey, and a few others, we went to a Lecrae concert. And honestly, the concert was 50-50.
It was, yeah.
It was 50% the black church, which is where he was singing to and rapping to before.
Until he dropped church clothes.
Well, realistically, this was even when 116 crew did the
Unashamed.
Unashamed. But this is the thing. All right, so we got gospel people at this record. Can you name 5 Lecrae songs?
Weekend, but
I'm about to say Weekend. Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah,
but that's because you come out of that culture. What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, we respect Lecrae. We love him. You know, we accepted him. I think he's in a position now where he's saying, it's almost like your mother want a hug and a kiss in front of your friends. It's like, I'm one of y'all. I love you, ma, but you can't be kissing me in public. You can't be associated with me in public. So now we in public. You're on the biggest stage that gospel music even sees.
Well, hold on, John, because about 3 years ago, I believe the gospel industry actually said Christian hip hop was not going to be considered gospel music anymore. That was 3 years ago.
Who said that?
That's I remember. Let me see. I got to find the article, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it came out some.
Well, there was a reason for that. The reason was because Lecrae was selling so many records.
He was outselling everybody. Yeah.
He was outselling records in the hip hop, but he was saying he wasn't gospel. Gospel is saying he's not gospel, and he's selling this many records. And so then it thwarts the amount of people in gospel who are being considered for gospel awards. So how are we giving gospel awards to somebody who don't consider themselves gospel?
But see, he didn't start considering himself gospel until, you know, a lot of gospel labels and gospel people in the industry is like, I mean, he got nominated for more Stella Awards more Dove Awards than Stella Awards.
Well, the thing is, as it relates to Lecrae, and this is the last thing I think I'll say on that because I don't want to say I think that I think he was always accepted by the gospel community. What I believe is when we say the gospel community didn't accept him, I don't know if that's completely accurate. I think he came into some challenges with the church. Go ahead, Kenny.
Lecrae went into the direction of his sales. Yeah. So if the majority of his sales are coming from the CCM market, then that's what concerts I'm gonna go to too.
Very true. And even if you be honest, even Lecrae fans had issues with his changes over the last 3 years.
Well, yeah.
Because he started using different producers. He started using secular producers because he knew what he needed to do to have a record that would be comparable to the secular market. So the reason why we're celebrating him is for the changes and even the things that he's being ridiculed for, even in his own community. So it's not
business decision.
It's not the church or gospel. Yeah,
business.
He evolved.
Yeah. What did he do, Sunshine?
And he evolved.
He really did.
And change is uncomfortable, but it's necessary.
It really is. And it's celebrated.
Right.
It's because he won the award.
By some.
Right.
It's celebrated by some. It ain't celebrated by all.
But one thing I would say as an artist though, is that you always are in a position to make those difficult decisions.
Absolutely.
You know, and you have to figure out how to be true to yourself. Where are you as it relates to you being not just current or relevant, but being effective with what God has given you, you know? And so you're always kind of second guessing. Well, this is what I have. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing around me. Where do I fit in this? You know what I'm saying? And so I think that he just made a decision and he went with it. Now, because he's made that decision, he's trying to tell us to stop looking at him as his past or his history. And I don't got nothing against that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, you know, it's a win.
You know what? I think for him, he don't want nobody to put him in a box. He's saying, don't put me in that box
anymore.
Let me create and be who I am. And let's celebrate. Let me be comfortable in that. His message didn't change. He's still saying the same thing. He still serves God. It's very clear. But
and I think that's the cool part though, because even though, you know, he made the decisions that he made, you know, he evolved, he's still reaching new people.
Exactly.
So the message of Christ is still going.
And that's who needs it.
Yeah, because
those that I'm
these
hearing
kids scare me nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
That other demographic.
Right. That
right, Sunshine?
Come on, Jamal, you listening? That's right.
But he's not the only one, you know. And the last thing I'll say about Lecrae, I think, is that he's the same guy that was preaching convocations at Liberty at Liberty College. So you can't be like an all-out preacher and teacher, and then we're saying, "Oh, you're the preacher." You're like, "No, I ain't a preacher no more. I'm just an artist. I'm a freethinker." You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I watched the video. You know,
and I think that's the problem that a lot of people are having, because you go from where your albums are talking about "kill me if I don't preach the gospel" to where your music isn't as direct as it used to be. But you know, there are hints and suggestions about what you believe and where you stand, but it isn't as direct as the where you built your brand. And that's exactly where, you know, a person like me, where I would stand, because there were, you know, 3 years ago, there he would have been the person I pointed people to if I was evangelizing, but I can't say that today.
And
you know
that's
what I'm
why,
saying? Because the people who I talk to now, if I say, you know, if I talk to somebody who I know doesn't go to church, but I know heard his record, I would ask them questions about his record, and they would not be able to tell me anything about that record that points to God.
Yeah. Well, and that's why artists like Bizzle and some of these others are coming hard with these messages like,
John, I see you over there. I see you over there, John.
So it's like, I understand, like you say, I understand it from a business aspect. I understand it from the marketing and sales. I understand it from the concept of, you know, him saying he wanted his, you know, quote unquote freedom. Where I don't understand it is the fact that now you're leaving a standard in your music that no longer put out the message that you started with, that now puts people in a place where they no longer hear the difference, which now takes away from the difference that you started with when you suggested what you were doing for.
Do you think it's because of some of his surroundings?
It could. Nah, I'm gonna tell you what it's about. It ain't about surroundings.
Snoop.
It's money.
It's about.
And the other thing is,
listen, when I saw that he signed with Columbia, because I was there that week. Okay. When I saw that, I said, okay. I knew what time it was. I'm telling you.
So I guess if you want to stay on Columbia, then.
But at what point does it look like selling out?
Exactly. Like, my thing is, you know, if you're not to cut you off, like, you made a good point. Like, he's made his name and everything that he's done based on the message. Like, I have a problem with artists, you know, well, I'm not gonna say I have a problem, because you do what you gotta do. To do what you gotta do. Right? But at the same time, it's like, if we know you, if you've been proclaiming God all of this time and you're still saying that you are a Christian rapper or whatever you're saying that you are, why would your message change?
But his message, did his message change?
Or did it change? It's watered down.
Watered down.
But it's watered down. It's not. He said it's not as direct. Like, I can't say, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I've never heard it, so I can't say that. You know what I mean? I've heard it for myself. I could be wrong, but gathering off of what he's saying is seriously watered down.
Someone said that is the evolution for a personal agenda,
right?
Or is it to advance the kingdom,
right?
So are you spreading that message? Are you evolving and spreading that message in such a way that it appeals to a demographic that learns in a different way, or do you want to keep that same message and that same method where they don't care to hear anything that you have to say because they're not in slavery? They don't feel the need to be enslaved.
Agreed.
They're not celebrating liberation and freedom because they were born free. They don't know that struggle, so they don't want to be singing the old. You know what I mean? I don't know.
But I think worse than that is they are in slavery. They just don't even know it.
It's a different type of slavery, but they're not in the railroad singing themselves out down the path. You know what I mean? So it's all the emotionalism. Millennials are not into that old emotionalism, beat yourself down. I know my son himself, he was like, he didn't want to go to church because it was too emotional. Right. He don't want to cry today. Right. You know,
wow.
They wanted.
Wow.
I'm so
but see, that's a point. That's a point that came up in the show when we were talking about why do millennials lead the church, and one of the points I think was Dr. Rogers brought out was the fact that they have not seen the suffering that the churches of old have seen that has caused them to have the love for God and the love for the church experience that we have. And I wonder if that equates to the music that we listen to today, because especially when I think about gospel music, a lot of times when I go to play, especially worship songs, and all of those things are about getting me out of this emotion that I'm feeling about this problem that I'm having, and I know that, you know, God is the answer and God is the way. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you're not feeling like that, if you don't have a need to go to that type of environment that pulls you, so what drives you to say, I want to play this record?
And what's weird is when you listen to secular radio, it's all upbeat, it's all happy.
Exactly.
You know, there's no my heart. You don't hear a whole lot about my heart broken and all this other kind of stuff. Like, you don't hear that anymore. Everything is let's have fun,
love music,
let's have a good time.
Turn up,
everything. Yep. That's a good point.
How you get past that weed brain, that chemical brain, that chemically induced, and I'm so serious.
Dang, dude. Yeah.
But they still trying to get away. They just getting away with weed
something else.
They
find a different way of
they don't
escaping.
have to cry. They pacify. And they medicate. So how do you
self-medicate?
How do you get into that? And some of the beats that the producers are using on a secular level, they get past that program thinking. They're programming it through beats through lyrics.
You got to think about this too now. You know, teen suicide is higher than ever before.
Yeah.
Because we're not dealing with issues.
They're not dealing with issues.
So realistically, I think that we are catering to a spoiled generation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Entitlement.
Yes, sir.
Of course.
Not just entitlement. It's they've been protected from the realities of life, and they expect things to always be the way that it is or better. Anymore. And so what happens is they don't even know how to get to God. I had a college ministry meeting tonight, and I told the young people that are preparing to go to college, I said, listen, no matter what goes down, you at least got to know how to get to God. You know, if there's an emergency and you can't get to mom and daddy and they're in another city, you got to know how to call on Jesus for yourself and know him. And I think the thing that we are missing is gospel music is somewhat not effective because we are not, it's not, our worship used to be the song of our relationship. Now we're trying to fit in 3 minutes. We're trying to get on radio, so we got a 3-minute song that we're trying to send a neutral message so we can get sponsorships. Like all of the things that we talked about are the very reasons why gospel music is not authentic right now.
It's not God-centered. Some of it is.
And it's not God-centered. Neither is it necessarily from God. It's just a jingle. We're doing jingles.
Yeah. Right.
Jingles that don't sell.
That don't sell.
Which won't get played.
Won't get played. But the authentic music, it gets played. You look at I Need You Now.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody.
Still
playing.
You look at Yolanda Adams, Alone in a Room.
Yeah.
Still.
You know, you look at Marvin Sapp, the one song I know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And at the end of the day, you got to realize Marvin is screaming from his heart because Marvin knows what it is to sell 1 million copies.
Right.
You know,
these
gospel artists, they don't know how that feel. Marvin knows how that feel.
So to go from here to here,
to realize that you now on the same playing field as everybody else selling a maximum of 3,000 records, you would have a problem with that too.
And just spent $75,000 making it.
Listen,
oh man,
what is money back?
At the end of the day. At the end of the day, that we and that's where it gets funny for independent artists. That's why you got to know that when you are in ministry, no matter what it is, if it's a church, if it's a youth group, whatever it is, when you give your money to the cause, you got to realize that you got to totally depend on the Lord to just blow a wind on what you're doing and allow you to see the return of harvest on the seed that you're sowing.
It may not come back.
It may not come back.
And if it don't, you got to be okay with knowing that you did this for God.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think that's the real issue. I think we've gotten to a generation of, and I'm not talking about y'all, so let me just go through that. Yeah, but I think I've seen more now where people are doing gospel music, but they're not doing it for the gospel. They're not doing it for God.
Yeah, matter of fact, I know one of the conversations that happen a lot of time is people see the gospel music isn't the solid music anymore. Now the CCM or Christian rap or the more solid, it's the more solid biblical music.
Not even Christian rap, because I can look at
But it depends on who you listening to.
I can look at several Christian rap artists who were so sold out that not even Christians nowadays.
Well, yeah, that's.
And I know CCM artists who's singing about wind and trees and rain that ain't got
nothing to do with the guy.
I am not. But I'm not on the CCM train. I love
but no. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
their own issues over there.
I'm saying that gospel market. When people talk about it, they always talk about it as though it's the watered down music or it's not the most solid music. A lot of times when I've heard people talk about it, and I'm even talking about black people. I ain't talking about just white people. White people started the conversation. I ain't gonna lie. But
the last thing I would say on that too, though, is we don't know the personal lives of CCM artists. You know, so I think it's unfair because we think we got everything in gospel figured out, but we haven't even. Like I said, you can't name 5 rap artists. You can't name 5 CCM artists. So how you gonna know that their music is more pure, their relationship is stronger?
I don't even know what CCM is.
You know.
CCM music.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
We're starting to sing 20-year-old CC music.
Oh, absolutely,
exactly
absolutely.
They're trying to catch up.
We're trying. I think the gospel industry and us, we're trying to catch up. A lot of times.
The funny thing is, if you
they're doing our music,
authentic CCM, you look at Jason Crabb. Jason Crabb is singing black gospel all over the land and country and winning.
We'll start a shout fest.
Listen,
at doggone.
And not only here, you look at Robert Randolph. Yeah. You look at my boy Corey Henry. Gospel music is very alive. The problem is everybody's doing it except the church.
My God.
Touche.
Yes.
It's very alive.
Slow clap.
Not the slow clap.
Yes, Bishop, speak. Speak, Bishop.
They got a dude named Sir the Baptist.
Now, don't even bring up Sir the Baptist.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I won't. I'm joking.
Just go ahead, finish.
But I'm just saying, what I'm saying is I'm not talking about the style of music, or neither am I giving holy credence to it. What I'm saying is it shows you how there really is a market for what we do.
Yeah.
He built a whole record on the notion of what we do in black church.
He did.
Smart business mind.
And he evolved.
And he evolved.
There you have it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, he also had a major label pushing him.
Yeah.
We cannot skip the fact
that's true
that secular artists that are implementing gospel music, they have marketing dollars.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have
Kenny.
people to radio promote them.
Kenny,
these things don't.
Kenny, we got to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
The show is over. The show ended 2 minutes ago.
This is a good show. This is a good show.
Kenny, but you talking good, Kenny.
You talking? Hey, we're gonna let you finish your statement, but we got to do closing remarks. Listen, this is Urban City Radio, man. We have had several guests on here. They all introduced themselves at the beginning of the show, so we don't have time to do it now, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all on Facebook Live, iHeartRadio, all other social media sites. Continue to follow us. Maybe not. We'll continue. This is Urban City Radio, where we bring the sound of boots on the ground. Boot up.
Boot up.
All right, Kenny, go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Yeah, go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, man.
Are we on?
Like I was saying, man, the things that are available to gospel artists are not the same. So again, we don't have major contracts and all that kind of stuff. So all of that plays a factor.
Yeah.
Jamal, man, start playing everybody records. What you doing? You ain't playing everybody records.
May the Lord watch between me and you.
Yo, hold on, wait. Jamal plays The Promise by John Lakin, and I thank God for
shout out. Oh, hold on. Matter of fact, y'all, go buy The Promise.
Are we still on Facebook?
Go buy.
Gang.
Go buy The Promise.
We still on Facebook.
Go buy Kenny's new album.
Kenny's new album is amazing.
Yeah.
Pour It Out is my favorite song.
Let me know when we're on Facebook.
Absolutely. Regina.
He's talking about let me know when we're on
Facebook.
Outpour. Go buy Outpour by Regina Skeeters. Yes, we need y'all support.
He talks too much on this show.
Because it's my show.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. You don't own this show.
Don't you have a show to own?
You're a co-owner.
Yo, this is Urban City Radio. We had fun. Yo, catch us next week. Boot up.
If you're here.
Man.
Yeah.
Jay might have just got himself fired.
From his own show.
Yes.
Dave Pendergrass, you going to have a comment before the show over?
Come on, Dave. Come on now, Dave.
When Dave says he ain't got nothing to say, you know that was a good show.
Are we done?
Yeah, we done.
We are done.
We're on Facebook?
No, we still live.
We're still
But we done.
Oh, okay.
So watch your mouth, Jamal.
Yeah, watch yourself. Watch yourself. They ain't hit the button
You
yet.
gotta go to work tomorrow.
Right. Help me.
You gotta go to 95.3 in the morning.
That's over here to be quiet.
Shout out Glory Communications. We love y'all.
Oh my God. I'm burning right now.
Kenny made a good point though.
Yeah.
Hey, he really did.
Yeah. Hey, Kenny, we love you, man. We'll holler at you later, brother.
Love y'all too, man. Peace.
One Bama, man.
Y'all ain't have a
campaign for this one.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Y'all
And
need to,
secular radio.